All right, as Ryan mentioned, one of the things I'm going to focus on this morning is the Adobe Xd challenge. It was a contest that the product design team participated in earlier this year, but I'm also going to tie that to Bruce Mouw's Manifesto. So I will get into that here in just a second. So the Xd challenge that we participated in was a contest that had a few rules around it. We were supposed to create a prototype app that would really talk about our creative city. So thinking about where we live, how can we introduce that to other people and really highlight the creative aspects of that. And we had to use a specific icon set, and we had to use Adobe Xd, the design application. And it's something that we came out with a great app for. I say app, it was just a prototype. It wasn't something that we actually built in its entirety. We called it Roundabout. It's something that the team was pretty proud about. But I'm not going to go into the details of that prototype. What I am going to focus on is the journey in building that prototype. And as I mentioned earlier, also going to talk about this guy. So I don't know how many people are familiar with Bruce Mouw. Maybe it's a name you've heard. He's a Canadian designer. He started with graphic design and expanded into a number of other focal points. And his team is responsible for things such as the Unilever rebrand, Sonos, if you're familiar with their design. And he's also the author of a 43-point incomplete manifesto for growth. And the reason that I am focused on that today is number 26 on that list is don't enter award competitions, just don't. It's not good for you. So that obviously goes against what we were doing with XD, and this is something that has stuck in my mind over the years. The first time that I came across this was in college when I first started reading about Bruce. And as an ambitious college kid that wanted to be the best at everything, I read this and thought, that's interesting, because he didn't really have much of an explanation for that. A lot of it is just up to your interpretation. And over the years, my interpretation of this statement has changed. But as soon as we mentioned participating in this Adobe Xd challenge, this thought popped back into my head. And the other 42 points, I don't remember as well. As with a lot of things in college, those details got a little fuzzy and replaced with t-shirt knowledge. But for kicks, after we completed the contest, I decided to go back and take another pass through that manifesto and see, with a different perspective, with different experience now, what are some of those other ones and are they relevant? And as I mentioned before, he called this the incomplete manifesto for growth. And thinking about growth, hopefully there's a company we can all think about that might benefit from something like this, particularly with it being grow time right now. So I'm going to go through a few points quickly. So number 3 in his manifesto is process is more important than outcome. When outcome drives the process, we will only ever go where we've already been. If process drives the outcome, we may not know where we're going, but we will know. And process is something that we focused very heavily on while we were going through this exercise. We didn't know exactly what we wanted to build. We didn't start with this idea of let's build this app and just quickly go through the motions. It's something where we went through it step by step and focused on everything along the way. Number 16 is collaborate. The space between people working together is filled with conflict, friction, strife, exhilaration, delight, and vast creative potential. And looking at our Slack channel for this project, there was a lot of collaboration happening, both in the room and in the space. There was a lot of conversation, a lot of working together, and it really made us much stronger as a team. Number 32, listen carefully. Every collaborator who enters our orbit brings with him or her a world more strange and complex than any we could ever hope to imagine. By listening to the details and the subtlety of their needs, desires, or ambitions, we fold their world into our own. Neither party will ever be the same. And looking at the team of people that were involved, we're obviously the product design team, but we don't often work on projects together. So getting to know everyone on the team, understand what drives the other person, was a learning experience for all of us. And number 10, everyone is a leader. Growth happens. Whenever it does, allow it to emerge. Learn to follow when it makes sense and let anyone lead. So revisiting number 26, we did go against that rule. Did we screw up? Was it harmful for the team? And my answer is no. And I believe in this case, a lot of it comes down to your intent. And thinking about this project, it was never about the prize for our team. We weren't focused on that goal. The grand prize was 2 conference tickets all paid, but for us, We practice our process as a team for the first time, giving us an opportunity to create a consistent approach. So going to number 3. Over by a few seconds. We learn to collaborate with team members with whom we don't regularly work. So that goes back to number 16. We use the opportunity to practice our lesser used skills and learn some new ones to include how to lead and follow one another. So going back to points 10 and 32. And more importantly, we put Custom Ink's name out into the world and showed what we can do as a design team. So as a result of participating in this, a lot of people are now familiar with the Custom Ink product design team. So there are obviously a lot of good points in that manifesto. I encourage everyone to read through that. If you have a moment, there are some real gems in there that apply to the work we do, but that's a quick overview of how what we did with XD is tied into that and how we came out as a stronger team. Thank you.